you get a criminal record. Elroy Johnson doesn't have any of those things because he's never been found guilty of a crime. I need to clarify another thing that opposing counsel has just told you, and that is the law in this case. The law in this case puts the entire burden on the plaintiff. And I'm going to show you the jury instructions where I've highlighted the relevant portion. There is a rebuttable presumption here that the defendant's participation in a tenants union within 6 months of commencement of this action creates a rebuttable presumption that the action is reprisal against the tenant. And the level of proof that the plaintiff has to use to prove to you to overcome that presumption is clear and convincing evidence. I didn't know 51%. Clear and convincing. What she told you was incorrect. That is the burden if there was no presumption. But in this case, there is. Freedom of expression is a fundamental liberty. It doesn't matter if you're young or old, rich or poor. You have the right to express yourself. You can't go to jail for voting for an unpopular candidate, for listening to bad music, and you can't be kicked out of your home for acting in protest. It is your right. Yet that is exactly what Rachel Longley is trying to do in this case. Shut them up. And what makes it worse? She knows better. You heard Rachel Longley talk about her history. She has worked for voting rights. She said that's the whole reason that she got into this. But what she's been doing for the past 20 years is not working for voting rights. It is running apartment complexes for the government. But she knows better. Of all people. What happened to Rachel Longley? Well, it's different when you're encouraging people to vote. That's not in your face. That doesn't interfere with your job. It's not loud. It doesn't bother you. It's a whole different story when it's right there in front of you. You're not doing your job right. Hundreds of people, she felt out of control. It had to stop. Rachel Longley knew better. She's smart. She knew she couldn't say I'm evicting them because Ms. Johnson formed a tenant action committee, because that would be illegal. It is illegal. But she had another reason. Elroy. Oh yes, months ago, he caused trouble. He was arrested for conspiracy to sell. Never mind that it was dismissed, because crime has consequences. Oh, and he may have painted on some buildings. Actually, they caught him 5 years ago when he was 11. Frederick Comstock seems to have come here today basically to tell you that Elroy Johnson is a bad, bad kid. Always has been. Frederick Comstock talked to you extensively about when he caught that 11-year-old boy whose mother had just died, riding on this building. It might have been here, it might have been there, it might have been there, it might have been there. Oh, wait a minute, it wasn't this building. It was another building. where I don't even work. But still, Elroy Johnson's bad. You cannot believe one word that Frederick Comstock says about Elroy Johnson. Not one word. He's biased. He does not like him. He wants him out. And it does not matter to him how he gets him out. But Frederick Comstock did tell us something about Miss Longley and her zero tolerance policy, didn't he? Apparently, you can deal drugs at NITA Gardens and not get evicted. You can be arrested for dealing drugs at NITA Gardens, not get evicted. It's happened before. You can beat up your wife at NITA Gardens, get arrested for it, not get evicted. You can beat your child at NITA Gardens, get arrested for it, and remain in that pleasant and safe environment. But God forbid that you form a tenant action committee. Because then, if you get arrested, it doesn't matter. That's just our excuse to get you out. There is no dispute in this case that the protests that LaDonna Johnson organized with the Tenant Action Committee took place in April of 2015. LaDonna Johnson testified to that, Elroy Johnson testified to that, as did Rachel Longley and Frederick Comstock. No dispute. There is no dispute that LaDonna Johnson was evicted after that in August. The verified complaint for eviction filed by the plaintiff is dated the first day of August this year. No dispute. April, May, June, July, August. 5 months puts us within the 6-month period required for the rebuttable presumption to come into play. The one that requires the plaintiff to present clear and convincing evidence that it did not act out of reprisal. You must presume that they did, that they acted illegally, and they have to overcome it. But what evidence did they give you to do that? The last piece of evidence, their last attack on Elroy Johnson was, of course, his, whatever you call it, graffiti art, tagging. It's not gang related. No one has alleged that. It's art. And they say that it threatens the peaceful enjoyment, the health and safety of the residents of NITA Gardens. Their experts said that some of the residents don't like it, some feel threatened. Professor Stockbridge said the same thing. Some of the residents don't like it, some do. Some feel threatened, some don't. We didn't bring all 350 apartments full of people in here to tell you how they all feel about it. But the law does not require that you leave your common sense at the door when you come into the courtroom. Look at the evidence. How would you feel? Threatened? Scared? Would you run away screaming? What if you just don't like it? It doesn't meet the standard. It would be something so bad that it threatens the health, safety, and enjoyment of the citizens. Without freedom of expression, we simply cease to exist. Please use your voice to find in favor of the defense. Let the Johnsons go home. Thank you.